Hello, and welcome back to Planning Center University. My name is Jessica, and I am the product manager for Planning Center Groups, and that is the app I'm going to walk you through today. But before we get started, I do want to point out a few things before we jump into the app. First of which is this question mark on the top right of every page. This is going to be the best place for you to get help. If you can see all of our suggested articles that we have here, browse our documentation, or you can email our support directly. We list our response time here so that you know when you can expect a reply. And this is also the best place to submit a feature request. So as we're going through this, if there's anything that you notice that you want to see in the future in groups, make sure to send your request through the help desk here. That way it gets to the right place. Another quick thing before we get started is that if you have a teammate who couldn't make it to this training, or if by the end of this you think it would be beneficial for somebody else to watch, we do record these videos, and so you could find them later on our YouTube channel or at planning.center/university. So let's get going then. To get started, we are going to go to the public side and show you what your groups will look like when a member is browsing and going to sign up for a group. And then we are going to jump back over to the admin side and show you how to get everything set up and organized. And then we're going to finish up by going over how leaders and members will manage their groups. So as you can see here, we have the admin side of groups. When you very first create a groups account, it is going to come with some sample data in it already. And that's just to give you a good idea of how to organize your account. So as we're going through this, you can either delete the sample data, or you can just edit along with me and make it fit for your organization there. And there's also two sides to groups, just like registrations and giving: the public side and the admin side. So the admin side is where we're going to set everything up, and then this public side here is where your members will browse for all of their groups. So here we have our groups separated into two different types, and we call two different categories, which we call group types. So we have our small groups and our seasonal classes. If we go into our small groups, we can see all of the different groups that we have available. And when you're going to publish all of your groups, you don't want to have just a giant list of groups for people to search through, because not all groups are the same, right? We're going to have some groups are focused towards a certain stage of life, maybe young adults. Some groups meet on a certain night of the week or meet weekly, others meet. In any case, all groups are different, and there's a lot of different things that might be important to different members when they're looking for a group. So we want to make it as easy as possible for them to find the groups that they're looking for, which is why we have our group types separated that way. So I know I'm looking for a small group, which is why I'm in here. If I know the name of the group that I'm looking for, so if my friend invited me to a group or said that I should check something out, I can come and search for the name directly. You can also see a map, which will show you all of the home locations placed on a map, so you can kind of get an idea of where everything's located if that's important. And then we also have the option to filter down through all of these different tags that we'll be able to set up later. So once we filter down to the group that we're looking for, we can say we're looking for an adult group. There's only one available, so we're going to go in there, and now we can see all of the details about that individual group. We can see the description, if there's any upcoming events that are published. We could see their just general schedule, a location with a map, which will just show an approximate, because I'm not actually a member of this group yet, so we don't want to give them we don't want to give the public too much information, right? And then as your member is looking over the group details, if they run into any questions that aren't answered on this page, or if they need to know something before they're fully ready to commit to joining the group, we do have this contact button here that will just send a quick message to whoever the contact person is of that group, which is handy. And then when they have all of their questions answered, they're ready to join the group. They can do that from here. They'll fill out their email address and name, and this is going to send out an email notification to all of the leaders of the group to review. So that is what your congregation will see when they are searching for their groups. So let's go back to the admin side now and get everything set up. Before we make any groups, though, the first thing you're going to want to do is make a group, because we're in groups. We want to make groups. But hold on. First, we want to think about those different types of groups that we have. Because when we're creating these group types, you're going to have the option to add defaults to the group type default settings that will then be applied to any new group that you create under that group type after that. So it's important to set up your group types before you go in and start creating your groups. So here we are in our group types. If we want to add a brand new group type, we can do that from here. There's a couple tips up in here just to give you some reminders of what I just said. So yeah, you could fill this out. I'm actually going to open up this small groups one just to see what's already in here. Less typing for me. So yeah, we have small groups. The name, description, this color theme is just an admin tool, so it won't show on Church Center at all on that public side. And then this map view, when I showed you that little pop-down map with all of the groups that were listed there, that's what this is going to turn on or off. If all of your small groups meet in the same location, like if you all go to the church and then separate into separate rooms there, it doesn't really make sense to show the map of all of your group locations because they're all in one location, just gonna be one dot. So you can kind of choose whether or not you want to show the map based off of where your locations are. So after you have your group type set up, we can go into our group type defaults. And these are going to be all of the settings that are shared among all of the groups in this type. So all of our small groups, like I had mentioned earlier, if you do have small groups that all meet at the church on all at the same location, then you can set the location here, and then any new group that you create after that will automatically have that location set. So I'm not going to go through each of these settings individually or explain them because we're going to go into an individual group and do that. I just want to let you know that these are here, and if you have settings that are shared among groups, make sure that you set them up here first before you actually go in and create a group. Okay, so that's group types. The other organization bit is under tags. And tags are what is going to control those filter options that you saw on Church Center. So that stage of life in the neighborhood, anything like that. Yes, so tags are separated into different groups. So the name of the tag group is going to be what is displayed in that filter option. So you want to make sure that whatever you're calling, so neighborhood is pretty straightforward, you know that there's going to be a list of neighborhoods under there. You want to make sure that the title of your tag group is something that is clear and understandable to your members. So adding a new tag group, you'll enter the name, choose whether or not you want the tag to be displayed publicly. And this is useful for if you want to use tags as more of an administrative tool to filter on the admin side. So one example of this could be if you have, say you assign coaches to different groups. So one coach might overlook 4 or 5 different small groups. Right now, we don't have a way to support that. But what you can do is add a tag group with all of your coaches listed there, and then add the coach tag. Make sure that it's not displayed publicly, and then make sure that then you can assign your coaches to each of your groups, and that'll give you as an administrator a way to filter down your groups by any of those additional attributes that you need to. And this last option in here is if a group can belong to many. So a good example of that is this group attributes over here, childcare provided and dinner. A single group could offer both of those things, whereas a group can't really meet weekly and monthly. You're meeting weekly or monthly. So if something can belong to, if a group can belong to many tags, you'll want to make sure to enable that here so that they have a multiple choice checkbox instead of just those radio options. That's pretty much it for tags. The only other thing to kind of note is that you can rearrange these so that they show up however you'd like on Church Center. You can move the tag groups themselves as well if you want them in a different order. And in order for filters to show on Church Center, you will need to make sure to actually assign tags to a group, which we're about to go do that. But, so yeah, I'll talk about that when we actually assign groups there. Reorder tags. Yes. Okay, so we have set up group types and the defaults and tags. We've talked about that. So now we are ready to start looking at an individual group. So to create a group type, a group, not a group type, we already did that. To create a group, we're going to click on here, and then you'll enter the name of the group. And the important part here is choosing that group type. Like I said, because those defaults that are set, if you create the group without a group type or under the wrong group type, it's not going to have the right settings carried over from those defaults there. So small groups, I'm going to jump into one I've already set up. So we're going to go into Wozniak small group here. And the first thing you're going to want to do after creating a group is going over to that settings tab and making sure that all of your settings are set up so that you can go in and publish your group. I'm not going to go over each one of these settings in detail because group name, it's pretty straightforward. But if there are any settings that I pass over that you want extra clarification on, throw a comment and we'll get it answered for you. But there are some things I do want to mention. One of which is this meeting schedule up here does not actually create any events in your group. This is just whatever phrase you enter, whatever phrase you type out here is what's going to be displayed on your public page. And it's just information letting the public know how often you meet, or the days that you meet, or the season that you meet, anything like that. If you don't have a group image, we have an integration with Unsplash where you can search for a bunch of free, really pretty images, and it's super easy to add a new group image to your group. Super awesome. Locations. Your group location, you can edit the location. The thing that I really want to stress on here is this non-member display. We default to showing the approximate. You can also turn off the location completely for non-members if you don't want people to even know the general location of where this group meets, which might be important for some more sensitive groups. You could also do an approximate if neighborhoods are something that is important so that people can see that general area. And there's also an option to show the exact location. This I would not recommend for most groups. There are times when you would need to use that. Maybe the group is at the church or some other public place, and that's fine. Just make sure that if you do display exact, that address is going to be available for anybody who is on the internet and looks at your group. It is available to the public. Member visibility. will control what the members of your group can see of other members and the leader in the group. So if a member is logged in, there might be some cases where you want your leaders and you want more information about your leader than your other members. So in this case, we want our members to be able to see the name, photo, email, and phone number of all of the leaders in the group, but we don't want to display any contact information for any of the other members of our group. Or we could choose to just display email it's very, you have a lot of control over how you can set up each individual group based on the needs of that group. Leader access will control whether or not the leader has the ability to search your people database to add somebody directly to your group. And what I mean by that, I'm going to jump up here real quick just to show you. So when I go to add a member and we search for me, we can see that we have, let's search for someone who actually has information filled out. Okay, so we can see the phone number, email address, whether they're an adult or a child, and the mailing address or the physical address of the person. So if you give your leader access to search the database, they will have access to all of this information. Head back over to here real quick. If you leave this disabled, leaders can still add members to their group. They just do it through an invite model instead. So they'll enter the email address of the member, which will send them an email, and the member can quickly accept the invitation or decline. So in most cases, I would recommend not having this on for just your general leaders unless they're also maybe volunteers and already have access to that information. Just be cautious of who you're giving access to what. If you want leaders to take attendance, you'll want to enable this attendance reminder that will send out an email 10 minutes before the event starts. And you can also, this is where you'll set up tags. To add new tags or to change the tags, you'll just come in here and switch them around. For the ones that are able to have more than one, we can check both of these off. If a tag doesn't apply to the group, you can select none on there for that tag group. If you are on Church Center and you're noticing that you're not seeing filters show up as an option, chances are you haven't actually added tags to the individual groups yet. So once you set up your tag groups like we did in the beginning, you have to actually go into your groups and tell each group which tag belongs to it. So make sure you do both of those steps before you try filtering on Church Center. Okay, last little bit on the settings page, and these are all directly related to what is shown on Church Center as well. So the visibility and enrollment status will control whether or not your group is public or private. So if there, and then you can control the enrollment separately, so whether the group is open or closed. So there might be some cases where you have your group set up this way, where it is public but closed. And this is handy if you have kind of like a ramp up period before your small group season starts. You can post all of your small groups publicly so that everyone can see them and get the information about them, kind of browse around, see which one looks good. But then keep them all closed for now so that nobody's actually signing up yet. And then once you're ready to actually have members join, you could come in and turn them all on, or set them all to open and all in one. I'll show you how to do that in a bit. The main thing I want to talk about here is the difference between open request to join and open signups. Request to join is going to be the most popular setting that you're going to have on your groups. That is going to in the beginning when I mentioned the member is going to join the group, they're going to enter in their email address, name, and phone number, and that's going to send a notification to the leader of the group. That leader is then going to be able to accept or decline the person being added to the group. And a lot of people, there are people who have trouble with the accept and decline part because declining somebody from a small group feels bad. I would urge you not to think about it that way. Chances are the reason that you're turning them or that you're not accepting them into the group is because they didn't notice the location of the group or what you guys were studying, anything like that. So it's not necessarily that you're denying them from the group. You might just need to suggest a better group for them. So there's also, there will also be a way to reply with an email, and I'll show you that when we start talking about leaders. So open sign up is the other option. And I really want you to think about open signups before you actually enable it, because there are some drawbacks to it security wise. So open signups are great for like a not random, but if you have like a class going on at your church and they don't really need, what am I trying to say here? Basically, anybody can go to the public page, they can click join, and they are automatically in the group. They are then a member of the group. The leader does not have to approve them. So anyone on the internet can find this group, click join, and then have access to anything that the members of that group has access to. So I want to remind you again about this member visibility section when you're thinking about open signups. If you have name, photo, and email here, or phone number, anything in this section, this members can see other members section, will be available to any of those new members that join. So any random person on the internet could then join that group and get this info. So open signups aren't bad, just make sure that you disable this personal information about other members before you turn on open signups. The contact person for your group is going to be the individual who is in charge of answering any questions related to signing up for the group. So when members are searching, or when potential members, I suppose, are searching for new groups, if they don't have enough information, if they have more questions after looking over the detail page, the contact button that was on Church Center will send an email to the email address listed here. And then leader display will do just that. It's going to display the leader's name. This isn't going to display any other personal information about the leader. It is just, you are just turning on and off whether or not you're showing the name of the leader on the group to the public. Okay. Those are the settings in a group. So now you can go through, you'll set up all of your different groups, and then we need to actually add a leader to a group because it didn't come with leaders, even though this group does have leaders in it. Let's move to this one real quick. You didn't see that. So first, when you're going to add a leader, we're going to add them as a member first. Type out someone's name here. Choose Ferguson, and I'm not going to choose to notify him yet because I'm going to notify him when I make him a leader. So add Ferguson, and then right under actions here, we're going to make leader. And that's where I was going to notify him, but I forgot to check that box. So yeah, that is how you will add leaders to your groups. And now we're going to move over. There's a couple other admin things I want to show you around on the admin side before we actually go to becoming a leader and going through all of that. Oh, go away. Okay, so we have here, back to the main groups page. one thing I want to point out are these quick settings over here. We can see that we have, in this view, we have 8 public groups, 1 private group, 8 that are open, and 1 that is closed. We can then open and close all of them in that group type at once, or make them all public and private. So that'll come in handy if, like I had mentioned before, if you have like a ramp up period where everything is closed for a while and then you turn them all on at once, you could do that quickly through here. You can also sort through your different group types. So, and then again by tags if you need to, if you're looking for groups on the admin side. And you'll also see under this filter option, you'll have all of those admin tags available to you there as well. And if you need to get to the link to share the link for Church Center, if you need to post it on your website or just send it out to people and you can't remember where to get to it, it's right up here, public groups list. You can copy the link or go straight to visit it, and yeah, it'll also let you know if the mobile app's enabled or not. We'll talk about that in a bit. People. This is going to show you all of the people that are in your groups account, whether or not they are active in any groups. You'll have the option to filter down. So if you're trying to figure out how many people are actively in a group, or how many members are in an active group, not an archived group, you'll choose that select all active people. So we have 86 active members. We can also filter down to our roles. So if we want to see how many leaders we have, maybe we want to email all of the leaders with some information if there's an upcoming training or anything like that. We can email them. Same thing with members. All of these actions up here, the email and print, will take in consideration any filters that you have applied. So if I were to email right now, it's going to be emailing all 80 of our members, instead of, if we go back to all active people, we have 86 up here. So those filters are super handy if you're trying to pinpoint select individuals. You can also add administrators from here, and you can filter your people by tags, but these are the tags of the groups that they're in. So I want to know everybody who is in an elementary school group or anything like that. So that's where I'll use those tags. I want to see all of my people who are in a winter small group. So that is handy. And that's it for the admin-y stuff. So yeah, let's be a leader. Let's transition to how do leaders actually manage groups? Now that we have everything set up, people have joined our groups, or people are starting to join, and leaders need to do their job. So I am now logged in as if I was a leader, and so I can see all of my groups that I have that I'm a member or a leader of. So I'm going to jump in my small group here, and straight from my small group I can see any pending membership requests that have come in. As a leader, you'll also receive an email notification accepting and adding or not adding the person to your group. But if you missed the email or you can't find it, you can always come back here and do that. You can also view the message that the member left when they were joining the group. If we choose to add them, it will give us the option to send them a message. We can also not add them to the group from here, and again, a message to explain why we're not adding them. So that is accepting new members. However, if you have somebody who showed up maybe as a visitor, or maybe in passing somebody mentioned that they want to be in your group, you can invite a new member. And so you'll enter their email address and a quick message, and that will give them a link to join the group straight from there. I would say one of the main parts of groups is going to be surrounding events, because that is when your group actually gets together. Is the purpose of your group is getting together. So let's jump into creating events and kind of seeing all the different options that you have available to you through events. So when creating your event, you'll create your name. If you have like a recurring weekly meeting or something like that, you could name it something generic like weekly gathering, or you could do Johnson family meetup, whatever you want to call it. Date, start time, end time. The repeating options, we have some repeating options here. You do need to choose an end date. Generally that'll be the end of whatever small group season, whatever current season it is. If you're not sure, or if you have a group that goes on continually, you can just push the year out really far and go from there. The event location will default to the group's location, because that's most likely where you'll be meeting. But if you do have any special events, like say you plan a bowling night or something like that, you can come in here and change the location so that people know where to actually meet. And then we have event reminders. You can turn these on. You could schedule event reminders to go out automatically a set amount of days before your event starts, which is nice. It's especially handy because the reminder email will also include RSVP options for your members, so your members can actually reply and let you know whether or not they will be attending the event. Okay, so if we go back to some of our events that we've already created here, we can see on this one the reminders were already sent out and people have already started replying to them. So we can see a list of everybody who's going, who has said that they're not going. And there's a couple more actions that we can do from here. We can print out a list if you needed a hard copy. If your event hasn't happened yet, so let's say this upcoming event, we can say I add someone to this group after I've already sent out the reminders. We can then come over here and send them to anyone who hasn't received one yet. So it looks like there's one person who's been added to this group since the last time reminders were sent out for this event. So we can send it to that one person. Some other options that are on here, you can send out the reminder just to those who haven't responded yet. So if it is an event that is important to get a final head count on, and you have some people who aren't responding to you as promptly as you would like, you can send out an email to just those people without also punishing the people who have already replied so nicely to you. And then this last option here is to resend it to everybody who has said that they're going. And this is handy for if you're coming up to your event and you want to let all of the people who are just going to that specific event some last minute information. So you might not want to email everybody if it's a larger group and you have a bunch of people who aren't going. You don't want to send out all this fun information for this event that's coming up that all these people can't go to. So this is just a quick way to send a message to anybody who is going to the event. Okay. So back to the event list here. On the day of your event, you are going to receive an email 10 minutes before your event starts, about 10 minutes before your event starts, with a link to take attendance for your event. so when you take attendance, it's gonna look like this as you're taking attendance. You can always come back to your group on the admin side here and edit attendance if you need to. So if somebody showed up late and you had already put your phone away, you can make a note of it and come back and edit it later. So you could do that. There's also, go back to events, sorry. So yeah, you go back and review all of your past attendance. You can quickly record attendance from here if you just so happen to be on your computer and not by your phone when you get the notification. You can come over here and do that. And then you can also, report attendance from here. This is also a spot where you can remove members. You can cancel, that's what I was going to say, is you can come in here and you can also edit the date of the event, or you can cancel the event, which will be important if you are taking attendance for your events and you know that you guys didn't meet. You don't want people to you don't want their attendance to be affected by the fact that no one was there, because no one was there. So speaking of attendance, let's take a look at the attendance report. So after you start taking attendance consistently, it's going to be really easy to get a good idea of your members and kind of their journey through your group. So if we take a look up here at George, we can see that he attended pretty consistently for a while, and then he missed a few weeks and then showed up, and now he hasn't come back since then. So this kind of report gives us a really quick way to see those people who might be falling away, who might not be super interested in the group anymore, and it'll let us know whether or not we need to reach out to that person and see if they need help with anything or need any additional support, or maybe we just need to reach out to them and see if they need to be placed in a different group. Maybe this just isn't the right group for them, or maybe it was at one point and now in their journey that they're on, they need to move to a different group. So whatever it may be, this report gives you a good way to keep track of the general health of the members in your group. Another way to support your members is to share your resources with them. So if you are, say you pass out curriculum, or like you guys go over curriculum during your group, or you have any handouts or information, I would also recommend uploading them here as well. That way, if anybody loses, like misplaces their document, their worksheet or anything like that, they can go to their group and they can download their resource straight from there. Or if you just have some links that are handy for people that you can link to them as well. So when we're adding a resource, you'll upload the file, choose the name and description, or link name and description. The visibility is important if you have resources that you only want to share with your fellow leaders of your group. So if you do co-lead a group, this might be helpful for you, or if there's just extra notes that you want to keep about your group to yourself as the leader, you can upload them and keep them as viewable for just you as the only leader in the group. So visibility will decide who has access to see the resources. Okay, I hope you guys are hanging in there. That's because we're turning around the last corner. We're going towards the last step of what we're going to be talking about. We've gone over setting up we've looked at how members will browse and sign up for your groups. We set up your group types, and we've gone through all of the group settings. We've set up your account and gone through some admin tools. Then we looked at how leaders can manage their groups from the admin side here. So the last step is to talk about our members and how they interact and how they interact with their group. So if we're back on this, oh, what did I do? Oh no, I've touched things and I've messed things up. But it's okay, because we're back. Okay. So when your member wants to access their group, they will go back to the same place where they signed up for their group on Church Center. And this avatar option up here will have that login. Once they get logged in, they're going to have access to view all of their groups and my groups. So they can view all of their groups. They can leave a group if they need to. Once they're in the group, they can subscribe to the group calendar. They could view all of their upcoming events. And if there are any events that have RSVP requested, it will show up on here for them to do, but I think I'm in the wrong account here. Whoops. Anywho, if you can see where my mouse is, if RSVP or if the reminder emails were sent out, your members will have the option to respond when they go and view the group. There will be an option there. Subscribe to calendar we talked about. Here's where they'll be able to download or view any of those resources that you uploaded for them. And they can also view all of the members in their group. What happened to this group? Give me just a second. I'm just going to see real quick why. Oh, it's because I was talking about this. Okay. So the member visibility section that we were talking about was set to not display anything. So when my member logged in, or when I logged in as a member, I wasn't able to see any information about my fellow members. So that's how to fix that problem if you ever run into it. So we can now see a list of all of our members and all of the information. If they're the leader, they'll be up at the top with a little badge there. We can reach out to any of our members that we need to. Yes. So that is Church Center on the web. So members can access their groups through the website here. However, we also have the Church Center app, which I want to talk about as well. I'm going to pull this up over here. So the Church Center app right now will be the same interaction as the web. Basically, you can browse through the different groups. You can view a group and ask to join. We still have this same contact button if we need to reach out to, if we need to ask questions before joining the group. We can then ask to join the group directly from there. And then once we go in and view our groups, we'll still have access to all of those upcoming events that we had, as well as any resources. We can download those from here. We still have access to all of our members. The directions is fun. That'll open up your maps directly and send you straight to the address that's there. So that's a neat way to get to your group. There's also a share option on the top if you want to share your group with somebody else. You can do that as well. Just send a link to your group. So that is what is currently on Church Center. However, or on the Church Center app. However, for groups, we are going to be focusing a lot in the near future on adding a lot more functionality into the Church Center app as it relates to groups. So that is, in the future, that is going to be the main hub or interaction point, I guess you could say, that members and leaders will have with their group. Leaders will still do most of their admin stuff, like reporting and things like that will be done on the admin side still, but We're hoping to add attendance and requesting RSVP, and we are currently working on group communication as well. So very exciting things for the future of groups, especially as it relates to the Church Center app. So you'll want to stay tuned to all of that. I'm on the wrong page. Oh, there we go. Yes. Just want to make sure there wasn't anything else I needed to cover before. No. Yeah. So, like I was saying, we're going to be adding a lot of new features into the Church Center app soon. So make sure to take a look at our blog, subscribe to our blog, and we also have a news and updates section in our documentation that you can subscribe to. If you subscribe to that, it will just take you to it right here. View all updates. So this recent updates section, you can subscribe to news and updates, which will give you an email or send you an email anytime we do any kind of small update to groups. And then our blog on planning.center will give you updates for anything big going on. But yeah, that is an overview of groups. Yeah, it doesn't look like there are any questions. So thanks, everybody.